Greetings to you all. Welcome to ABN News Highlights tonight. We have a variety of stories from around the globe. I am Elizabeth Ndagire for Advent Broadcast Network. Thank you for tuning in. Congolese man beaten to death in Brazil over unpaid wages. Brazilian authorities have shut down a beachside kiosk in Rio de Janeiro after a 23-year-old Congolese man was beaten to death. Here's the full story with our reporter.
Moise Kabagambe was seen in a video from the Tropicalia beach kiosk security cameras being attacked by a group of men who beat him repeatedly with a club and a baseball bat, according to Rio de Janeiro's civil police, who have opened an investigation into his death. 3 men have been arrested in connection to the murder. Kabagambe moved to Brazil in 2011 after fleeing violence and conflict in Congo, his mother Ivana Lei told local media. Lei said that her son was beaten to death on January 24th after demanding back pay for 2 days from work at the kiosks where he had served drinks. Lei, Kabagambe's mother, is now pleading for justice. Rio de Janeiro Secretary of Public Security, Breno Carnevale, described the matter as cowardly in a tweet, and he emphasized that he sympathized with the family's pain. Carnevale added that he has ordered the immediate ban on the operation of the establishment that is related to the dynamics of the crime. He added that he hopes that such an unacceptable brutality will be investigated by the police authorities and culminate in the criminals being held accountable. Rio de Janeiro's Mayor Eduardo Paes said Kabagambe's murder was unacceptable and outrageous, and that those responsible will be punished. Now, Kabagambe's murder has also ignited a social media campaign where many Brazilians, including local celebrities, are calling for justice. The country's Congolese community has also called for protests at the Tropicalia kiosks where Kabagambe was killed.
Dozens massacred in DR Congo camp raid. About 60 people living in the camp for the homeless have been killed in a brutal overnight attack in the northeast of the Democratic Republic of Congo. The local chief said most of the victims were women and children. Many of them had their throats slit. Here's more to the story.
At around 2 local time, men armed with guns and machetes raided a plain salvo set up for those forced to flee their homes in the province of Ituri because of inter-ethnic conflict. The local chief said most of the victims were women and children, many of who had their throats slit. A camp resident who spoke to media said that he had cries when he was still in bed. Then several minutes later of gunshots. While fleeing, he said he saw torches and people crying for help. Another 40 people have been injured, according to the Norwegian Refugee Council, NRC, which provides aid to the camp. The Codeco militia has been blamed for the massacre. The NRC says there has been a steep escalation of deliberate and targeted attacks by armed groups against displaced people in Ituri. Since November, nearly 70 people have been killed in raids on 5 other camps. An estimated 1.7 people have been forced to flee their homes in Ituri since violence began to escalate several years ago.
Job prospects for the young look bleak in India. India aims to create 6 million jobs over the next 5 years, according to this week's budget announcements. It will not be easy since the country's unemployment rate has exceeded most emerging economies in recent years. Here's more to this story.
Greg Jeffrey and Jane Dyson, who have studied joblessness in India, write on the nature of unemployment in the country. In the mid-2000s, a group of students at a college in Meerut, Uttar Pradesh, jokingly referred to themselves as a nowhere generation. Worn down by years of fruitless attempts to acquire government employment, this group said that they were stuck between their rural homes and dream of urban mobility. Unemployment popularly known as Berogazi, seemed to have left them high and dry, marooned by modernity. In the last 2 weeks, as the scale of India's employment crisis has become more evident, media and popular attention has swung again to the phenomenon of the unemployed youth in India. Hundreds of millions of poorly employed young people, many of them highly educated, challenge the story of India's rise and boosterish projections of Asia benefiting from a demographic dividend. As concern about unemployment intensifies, the media spotlight inevitably swings between loud demonstrations and the stamp speeches of the politicians. Over the past 25 years, research has been carried out in Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand states on the experiences and actions of unemployed young people aged between 18 and 35. This research has involved living and working with unemployed young people for many years in Meerut district in Uttar Pradesh and in Chamoli district in Uttarakhand. The death of social suffering is striking. Unemployed young people encounter a cluster of disappointments. They lack money, cannot make good on familial expectations, often lack a sense of respect, and frequently face problems managing their marriages. For men, a lack of puki naukri, which means permanent job, often undermines their identity as breadwinners. Added to this, they often feel bitter about the time they invested in education and job searches. Work is also connected to citizenship. Many young people spend their teens and early 20s dreaming of serving the nation through obtaining jobs in government service that have become ludicrously difficult to secure.
Deadly landslide after heaviest rainfall in years. A huge landslide triggered by the heaviest rainfall in Ecuador for almost 20 years has killed at least 22 people. Local residents and rescue crews have been desperately searching for survivors in the flooded area. Here's the full story.
Mud and rocks were carried down the slopes of the nearby Pinchacha volcano. A recreation ground and 8 houses were engulfed and cars swept away. At least 47 people were injured and 20 are missing after Monday's landslide. Weather experts say the amount of rain that hit the mountain was almost 40 times more than they had forecast. Belen Bamou told Ecuador's El Universo paper that he saw how the current took a man and a child. He says it was horrible. Rescue crews are searching homes and streets covered by mud, as officials say 16 people are still missing. The emergency services published a dramatic video showing the devastation caused by the flooding. Several houses have been damaged in the neighborhoods of the La Gasca and La Comune. Quito Mayor Santiago Guterres said Monday's rainfall was a record figure not seen since 2003.
At least 7,500 homes without power after the tropical cyclone Batsirai. Thousands of homes were left without power in Mauritius on Wednesday as powerful cyclone winds battered the Indian Ocean island nation. Our reporter reached out for this story.
Tropical cyclone Batsirai passed within about 130 kilometers, which is 80 miles of the holiday paradise, bringing heavy downpours and winds of around 120 kilometers per hour, with a peak of 151 kilometers per hour recorded in the capital, Port Louis. Life was brought to a standstill with public transport cancelled, shops and banks shut, and air and sea travel halted. At least 7,500 homes were without power after the winds knocked down trees onto electricity lines, according to the local electricity board. The telephone network was also disrupted. The reopening of schools, closed since November because of the spread of the COVID variant Omicron, could not take place as planned. Cyclonic conditions will persist on the island until late evening, according to a statement from the Weather Service. The French island of Reunion, which lies about 230 kilometers southwest of Mauritius, was on red alert for the likely passage of Cyclone Batsirai overnight. In 2007, 2 people were killed in Mauritius and 9 hurt in Reunion when a cyclone hit the islands. Tropical storms and torrential rains have also wreaked havoc in southern Africa in recent days, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. Tropical storm Anna claimed the lives of 86 people in Mozambique, Madagascar, and Malawi last week.
Power cable collapse kills 26. At least 26 people have died after they were electrocuted by a falling power cable at Kinshasa Market in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Here's the full story.
The high-voltage cable snapped and fell onto houses and people shopping near the capital Kinshasa on Wednesday. Unverified footage posted to social media appeared to show the aftermath of the incident, with several motionless bodies in puddles of water. It is not yet clear what caused the power cable to break, but in a statement, DR Congo's national electricity company said it believed lightning had struck part of the cable, causing it to fall to the ground. The company sent condolences to the victims' families. Police said the collapse happened at the Matadi Kibala district on the outskirts of Kinshasa and that a number of people died on the spot. Local media report that the majority of the victims are female market traders. The bodies of the deceased were taken to the morgue and an investigation into the matter is underway. Prime Minister Sama Lukonde visited the market. In comments posted to Twitter, he described the incident as a terrible accident, adding, "I share the immense pain of the families. My thoughts are also with all the injured." Several districts of the capital are prone to flooding due to the poorly maintained colonial-era drainage systems. One trader said the market often flooded when it rained, with workers and shoppers having to wade through water.
That brings us to the end of our news segment tonight. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like the video, leave a comment, and share. I have been your host, Elizabeth Ndagire, along with our reporter, Joan Comfort Agazu, and producer, Eddie Musige. Till next time, God bless you.